The only difference between you and me is that you can see my handicap, but I can't see yours. And that is the quote of the day. Welcome back to the Quote of the Day show. I'm your host, Sean Croxton of SeanCroxton.com. Today's featured speaker is Marci Shimoff. And today, Marci tells a story of self-esteem, about how we perceive ourselves, how we perceive our limitations and our imperfections and the challenges that we face, whether they be external, the ones that everybody can see, or the ones that we deal with inside. Here's Marci.
2 out of every 3 adults in America suffer from low self-esteem. 2 out of 3 is a high percentage. In fact, right now, I'd like you all to turn and look to the person to your right, if you would. And turn and look to the person to your left. Only one of you is okay. Statistically. It's up to you to figure out who that is. An even scarier statistic is that 80% of our children entering the 1st grade have high self-esteem. By the time they're in the 5th grade, it's down to 20%. By the time they're seniors in high school, it's 5%. So in a few minutes, we'll look at what we can do about that. But first, I want to share with you one of my favorite self-esteem stories from the Chicken Soup series. It's about a man named Roger Crawford, and here's a picture of Roger. Tell me, if you will, what's different about Roger than about you and me. His hands. Roger was born without any palms. What you can't see in this picture is that Roger was also born with a badly crippled left leg. His leg had to be amputated from the knee down when he was just 5 years old. So Roger grew up on an artificial leg. Now, these weren't great circumstances, but Roger's parents taught him that it wasn't his circumstances that would affect his happiness in life, but instead it was his thoughts about himself, his attitude, and his self-esteem. In the 8th grade, Roger's mother noticed that all of Roger's pant pockets were worn out. Now, why were his pant pockets worn out? He was hiding his hands. So what did his mother do? Sewed those pockets shut. She said, honey, God gave you these hands. I want you to be proud of who you are, and I want you to show yourself to the whole world. Well, equipped with that attitude, in the 9th grade, Roger decided to try out for the football team because all the other kids were. He tried out, and miraculously, he made the football team. Now, he wasn't called into every game, but he set a goal for himself that he thought was realistic, which was to get 1 touchdown during 1 game of the season. The final game of the season came, and he hadn't gotten his touchdown yet, so he went into that game with full focus and attention on getting a touchdown. Halfway through the game, the quarterback sent the ball flying accidentally in Roger's direction. But Roger seized the opportunity, ran as fast as he could after the ball, put out his arms, caught the ball, and continued running so fast that he made it to his 9-yard line before one of his opponents caught up with him. Unfortunately, at the 9-yard line, his opponent caught up with him by doing what's called a shoestring tackle, which is when your opponent dives and grabs you by the ankle. In this case, his left ankle, the ankle of his artificial leg. This is how Roger tells the story. He says, I pulled, he pulled, I pulled, he pulled, I pulled, he pulled, I won. There he stood with my leg in his hand. He said, but there I stood with the football still in my arms on 1 leg. Now, what did I have to do to get a touchdown? Hop my way across the other 9 yards. That's what I did. The referee went like that, touchdown, and I got that touchdown I so yearned for. He said, but better than those 6 points was turning around and looking at the guy's expression who was standing in the field holding his leg. That was Roger then. Let me show you a picture of Roger now. Roger is the first physically challenged person to have made the U.S. tennis professional team. And there he is on his leg with the racket in his hand. Now, I don't know who we have here in this room, but I will guarantee you one thing. Roger Crawford could beat any one of us in this room at tennis. And I just want to recite to you the last line of his story as it appears in Chicken Soup for the Soul, because I think it's very telling. He says, "The only difference between you and me is that you can see my handicap, but I can't see yours. We all have them." He said, "When people ask me how I've been able to overcome my handicap, I tell them that I haven't overcome anything. I've simply learned the things in life I can't do. Things like play the piano or eat food with chopsticks." He says, "But more important, I've learned what I can do. And I do that with all my heart and all my soul." And I think, wow, here's a guy who's got apparently less going for him than many of us, but he's living his life with all his heart and all his soul. If he can, so can we. So one of the things that I want to encourage all of us to do is to leave here and live our lives with all our heart and all our soul like Roger, no matter what our challenges are.